I have my 6 signatures ready now for my text block, and I did actually make a decision to cut them a little bit. It's hard to see on this, a little bit shorter than the cover. But you know, I think that's personal preference. So what I'm going to do now is to sew my text block together. I have to admit I'm supposed to use some thinner thread. I don't really have thinner thread, so I'm just going to kind of wing it with some ordinary wax thread. So I'm just going to go ahead and get on with stitching the block together. My text block is now sewn. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into a book press, and I've got Janie's original book press here. And what the idea is for the text block to go in with these level, and for it to, I'm trying to see what the best way to be able to show you this is. So it needs to go in. It needs to be in as far as we can. Maybe this way is probably the better, but although it's better for the camera, it's not best for me. The idea is it goes in kind of like that, and all of this is flat. And I'm just going to have to turn it towards me just to make sure it's as even as I can get it. And this is, from my understanding, where your tension is good. This is a lot easier. If your tension is not like mine, it takes a little bit of wiggling to get them lined up. So just bear with me just a little minute. And we're gonna see if that will. No, I've just pushed it. You can see what I'm trying to do on the camera, but just barely. So let me just get it in, and then hopefully I can get it tightened, and then I can lift it up to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see it's in. I probably got it out a little bit further than would be better. The idea is that you want as much pressure on this as you can, really, to keep it in. But we're going to go with that. So I've got it in my press. My next job is to glue it. And I'm going to use Janie's new paper bindery glue. And this is new because I haven't opened it yet. Just you can just see there's a, yeah, I'm just going to remove the little wrap. And the idea is to literally now, and it's just on this spine, not down the edges. So while the spine is drying, there's a few other bits we need to prep. So this I got interfacing. You can use muslin, very fine muslin. Just something. This is going to be going over the spine later once it's dry. We also need to cover our boards with fabric. I'll show you that in a moment. And we also need some end papers. Now these are two from these are handmade papers from something that I got from Janie's Originals. As you may have noticed, I'm very, very keen on Janie's things products. I've done a couple of retreats with her in a workshop, and I have learned so much, and her products are really quite, you know, they do the job. I am not affiliated with her in terms of I'm not been paid to advertise her products, but I really like them. So the first thing we need is to make the end papers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these pieces of handmade paper in half, like so. And then I'm going to cut them. In fact, they're fine that way. It's just a case of cutting them this way. So I was looking for a pencil, couldn't see my pencil. I'm just going to cut them just slightly smaller than the boards. So do not throw those bits away, because it will come back at some other point, I'm sure. So those are my end papers. So I can put those to one side along with the piece of muslin. And then we need to look at covering the boards with fabric. So I have my two boards I started with. Now I'm also using this. This is a spacer bar again from Janie's Originals. Comes with this one. I think the corners are a separate thing, but I can't honestly remember. But we'll use that one later. So this spacer bar is about half an inch. Janie tends to work more in centimeters, so I don't know what it is. I can't remember what it is in centimeters. But basically that's what we want. Now I have got one of the pieces of fabric from the Fat Quarter bundle. It's this one, I think. Yes, so we need to make sure that we get it up the right way. But it's a fairly smallish repeating pattern, so I'm not too worried in terms of trying to focus where I am putting it. But what I will say is that you need to leave a bit around the edges so that we can trim them down in a moment. I'd say probably I can cut it. I've got a regular cutter here, and I'm using my metal edge ruler as well. So I'm going to cut. I'm going to use this as a kind of to cut down to. So we'll cut up there, and here as well. I do have longer quilting rulers, but I can't be bothered to dig them out. So we're just going to use this for the moment. Okay. I've still got all of that fabric that I haven't used. So I'll put that over there. And just make sure we've got this going that way. So basically we're going to stick this and then we'll trim around it afterwards. So the easiest way to do this is going to use, so this is an Art Basics brush, but it's not a brush, if that makes sense. It's kind of, I don't know what this is, rubber or silicone or something. Basically it's almost like a spatula, I suppose. I've had it a long time. I'm going to use it. I'm going to put, again, I'm using Janie's Originals paper bindery glue, and I'm going to put that. Oh, it's coming out quite fast here, but not to worry. Janie always says this is better, but I'm afraid I'm one of those people that prefer to make sure it's all covered. Now, this is what I like about these kind of, well, brushes. I don't know if you call them brushes, but you know, because they're made from what they are, I'm using it on glue, making sure that whole thing is covered. But that will just dry and peel off later. I haven't got to worry about washing my brush, only making sure I'm not putting it somewhere where it's going to get a bit stuck. So I'm putting that down, making sure I'm leaving a good kind of bit around, and I am just going to flip it over. Now I didn't bother ironing it because, as you can see, as you press it down, the creases disappear. Okay, so that's that side done. Now we've got to do the same with this side. It's going in here, which is why we've got the spacer, because this is wide enough for my text block, and I checked. I'll show you. This is my text block. This is the spacer, so there will be enough room for that text block in that space. So we're going to put that there, and then I'm going to do is put my glue on here, and really, I've got this really mucky thing, but that's the point of it. It is where I generally do all my gluing, so that it's a thing that's covered in glue. And like I say, I know I put on more than Janie would recommend that you do, but I do like to make sure that it's going to stick. So we're spreading it out to make sure that the board is covered, because we don't want gaps where the fabric isn't sticking to the board. Okay, so we put that there, and then this one goes in there, and then we know it's properly lined up. And I am just going to do my whole turn round and make sure we lose the the creases in the fabric. Okay, so we now want to cut around. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use, I don't really want to use my rotary cutter up to the edge of this plastic. So what I'm doing is I am using it as a measure around the edge. So, and then I will use my metal ruler and my rotary cutter. We also need to cut we're going to do the corners so that we can get them in properly. So bear with me. We are going to use, I do need the glue in a minute, but I really should have put the lid on it. The point of this is to be able to mark or cut the corners properly so that we get a nice finish. You can judge it by eye, but these help to get an even kind of amount all around. And I am going to cut those with scissors because it's just easier than trying to use the rotary cutter. And then I am just going to stick these down, these two sides first, and then these, and need to push those bits in. Okay, so I'm going to go on and do that. Cover is now covered. Again, we'll leave that to dry, and obviously we're still waiting on the spine to dry, so we'll come back when that is ready for us to look at. The block is now dry, and I need to add the ribbon, and I'm using interfacing. You can use muslin if you have it. We're going to use the book press again. It doesn't need, oops, certainly doesn't need to be right down there, but it doesn't need to be in as far this time. So we're just going to I'm going to join the end papers on now. So I'm going to put just, this is my text block. I'm just going to put a very little line of glue, and so I've got some scrap paper to make sure I don't go below that. And then I'm going to stick the end paper down there, and then the in this case I've got interfacing. The interfacing will stick down there, and then I'm going to do the same with this side. Okay, so now we're going to put the text block into the cover. So I'm going to just make sure my cover and my text block are up the right way. And then I'm going to first of all just make sure that my end paper here is lined up. And I'm going to fold that down. I'm just going to bring the cover over to make sure that also fits. Okay. Now I'm going to put a piece of a piece of wax paper in here, because once this is stuck, it's going to go in to the book press, and we don't want the end papers sticking. So I'm going to now put the glue onto end papers, and I'm going to just get my brush here. So I'm going to put my glue all over my end paper here. So we're going to undo the press now and see what our book is looking like. Then we have our book. I have to say it's not brilliantly lined up, but you know, for a first attempt, I'm quite pleased with it. So